All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Yunus Lari. I'm an attorney and alumni of Florida Coastal School of Law and admissions counselor in the Office of Admissions, and your host for today's webinar. I want to thank you all for taking the time out of your busiest schedules to be with us today. These webinars have been growing in popularity, and that encourages my colleagues and me to up our games and keep bringing you the materials you want to hear and learn more about. So once again, thank you for participating, and let's begin. Okay, to warm you up, and before I introduce our guest speaker today, I give you a quick overview of what our Immigration Human Rights Clinic does. Under the supervision of an experienced attorney, students in the Immigration and Human Rights Clinics are involved with both direct legal services to non-citizens as well as legal advocacy projects. Legal services provided include the preparation of asylum petitions, family unit applications and petitions, applications for naturalization, and applications for relief under the Violence Against Women Act and the Victim of Trafficking and Violent Crime Prevention Act. Students represent clients in removal proceedings in both the detained and non-detained setting and conduct Know Your Rights presentations for detainees. The students gain experience in interviewing and counseling clients, conducting fact investigation, developing case theory, interviewing witnesses, writing declarations, and submitting briefs. In the light of the recent political climate, now seems to be a time perhaps more apt than ever to discuss immigration and human rights matters, especially from a legal perspective. And no one is more uniquely qualified to tell us about the role that future law students can play in helping out the community in desperate need of legal services while gaining invaluable experience and enhancing their own legal careers than the director of our clinical programs. I'm excited to be joined today by our rockstar professor and the director of our clinical programs, Professor Erica Cran herself. I hope you guys enjoy her presentation today and take advantage of her wealth of experience. As always, you may use the chatting box if you're using a computer on the left side of your screen to type in your questions, and we will do our best to answer them. I encourage all of you to ask questions, as always. Asking questions help tailoring these webinars to better fit your needs. Just one logistic point, unfortunately, because of technical issues, we can't have the video and image of Professor Cran, which she was generously ready to present. However, we do have her on the line, on the phone, and I will try to administrator the slide show, the PowerPoint slideshow that she has prepared for you guys. Now, without any further ado, I give you Professor Erica Cran. Professor Cran, can you hear me? It's all yours.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So thank you all for calling in today. And this is, as Joanna said, a very challenging time in the field of immigration. There's a lot going on. It's really exciting. And in the case of immigration, just last week, my students and I, some of us went up to Washington, D.C. for the National Day of Action on Immigration with the American Immigration Lawyers Association. We had an amazing opportunity to go around and speak to different representatives on plans for the future and possible immigration reform. So there's a lot going on, a lot of people talking about immigration these days. So I wanted to start out just briefly. I am also the director of experiential learning, so I know something about all of our clinics, and really you can learn from a clinic all sorts of different skills that you can transfer to any practice area. So I know a lot of people aren't 100% sure what practice area they want to do, but as the director of experiential learning, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you about any of our clinics. So a clinic is a law school teaching law firm. Students receive close supervision from faculty each week. They can appear directly in court on cases and represent actual real clients. We call them live clients, but all of our clients would definitely be alive. And students gain experience drafting motions, letters, memos, and briefs on active cases. They're able to depose witnesses, learn and prepare for litigation, and involved in any kind of business transaction related. And we have many different clinics at Florida Coastal. We have 3 taught by full-time professors: our business clinic, our family law clinic, and our immigration clinic, which is taught by me. And then we have several clinics taught by adjunct professors: wills and estates, interviewing and counseling, veterans benefits, mediation, seal and expungement for juveniles, criminal records, and Florida appellate law, child advocacy and dependency, and naturalization. So we have a number of different opportunities. So if you want to try more than one thing, we highly recommend it. Professor Tuttle, who runs the Family Law Clinic, and I work cases collaboratively as well for students who have an interest in both immigration and family law. We deal a lot of criminal immigration issues, business immigration issues, so you can sort of combine sometimes to get some experience in more than one field. So specifically, talking about the Immigrant and Human Rights Clinic, our focus is really on humanitarian-based immigration, which right now there's a great need for help. A lot of communities are really afraid right now of being deported, family separation, because there's an increased focus on enforcement with the current administration. And whatever your thoughts are on that and immigration policy, there is still relief available for immigrants, and it's really a great opportunity for students to be involved in helping immigrants who might be able to stay in the country apply to get their status adjusted. Here in the clinic, we've been dealing a lot with asylum cases for children, human trafficking cases, cases involving victims of crime such as domestic violence and human trafficking and other violent crimes. Immigrants are statistically more likely to be victims of crimes than U.S. citizens. They're more vulnerable, and they're less likely to report to police due to fear, so sometimes they're subject to target by criminal organizations. So there are special visas available to support immigrant victims of crime, and we handle those in the clinic. We also, with our clinical programs, we're the closest shop in town to 2 rather large detention facilities. And so we go out to those facilities and do presentations to immigrants who are locked up in detention about their rights both in detention and what's happening to them while they're detained, and their rights in respect to their ability to defend their case. What right do they have in the courtroom? Not just, what rights do they have to food and the treatment in the facility. So we do provide those presentations to immigrants detained at those facilities, which can be a tremendous learning experience for students because you have to know something about the law to be able to talk to the detained immigrants about what their options are. And students find that to be a really interesting experience. I will talk just a little bit about some recent case successes. Just last week, we received a grant of asylum for an immigrant child who we applied for asylum for her and had the asylum adjudication about 6 weeks ago, and we just got the grant last week for a child who fled severe physical abuse at the hands of her parents and couldn't return to her home country or seek protection in her home country because they just didn't have the same view of the rights of the child, and she wouldn't be safe. So we were able to apply for asylum and represent her in that case, and we were successful, which was really great. And she just attended an orientation to learn about what services are available to her as a newly granted asylee. And recently we represented a Syrian journalist who had been tortured because he expressed anti-government views and was telling the truth. He also was somewhat of a women's rights activist, and he was tortured in Syria, and we were able to get his asylum case granted in court. And we just got a grant on a victim of domestic violence who had an asylum case as well in court. We also have represented 7 different human trafficking cases this year, and they all have gotten trafficking visas. Several of our human trafficking cases are sex trafficking cases, but we also have many cases involving labor and employment, including some sports-based cases where individuals were brought to the United States and kept against their will and forced to practice sports and being groomed for professional sporting teams, but not taken care of properly, not handled the appropriate visas. That's something that's new that I wasn't aware was happening. So modern day slavery, human trafficking is a form of modern day slavery, and we're really involved in helping any foreign national locally that needs help with a visa to be able to stay in the United States. And I did include some news stories. One of our most recent successes also involved a child, and I included the links that you'd be welcome to pull up. But one of them involved an unaccompanied child who came here by herself, fleeing gang-based violence. She was kidnapped and sexually assaulted by gang members and forced to have a baby. And then while she was still a child, fled to the United States and applied for asylum. And the clinical students were able to work with her and help her get asylum. There's been a tremendous influx since 2013 of young children, women, and girls traveling to the United States from Central America fleeing persecution. And law clinics have been one option. And here in Northeast Florida, we've seen a number of these cases come through and been able to help. A lot of these cases are really quite emotional and somewhat challenging, but students seem really drawn to them, really motivated to help their clients. I have students tell me all the time when they're in the clinic that they just don't know where the hours went, that they came in the morning and all of a sudden it's dinner time and they just didn't even realize they'd been working that hard. And typically you do a clinic during your second or third year of law school after you've gotten some classes under your belt. You know a little bit about the law, you understand a little bit about what you're doing before you get in, but you're heavily supervised in the clinic. So the students, have questions, they come to me, I review anything that they're getting ready to file. If we're going to court, we all go together and I sit right behind them, and if they need help, they just turn around and say, Your Honor, may I have a moment to consult with my supervisor, and we talk through any issues. So it provides a great opportunity for students to sort of get their feet wet, get their first case tried while still a law student, and really have tremendous impact on people's lives. Another case that we've had in the clinic, we also have been working with human trafficking victims. We had a labor trafficking case for a group of men that had been kept on a pine straw farm, not paid, not given the ability to leave and get food and resources. And they came into the United States lawfully. So sometimes people forget that people can become victims of slavery or human trafficking even when they follow the rules due to unscrupulous individuals who take advantage of them. We also have a great event coming up this weekend, which we do every year, called Citizenship Day. So this Saturday on campus, about 120 or so different immigrants will come in, and we'll help them with applications for citizenship and have a big barbecue on the back deck. We usually have people from about 25 different countries show up for the event, and we do it every spring, and it's a collaboration between the Immigrant and Human Rights Clinic and the Pro Bono department. We try to involve students that maybe aren't ready to take a clinic yet but want to get their feet wet. We do a lot of community advocacy as well. We've been doing a lot of Know Your Rights presentations and community presentations on hot topics such as the recent travel ban. So we've had a lot of interest from the local community in what's going on, what's the law, what's happening right now, what's changing, what's not changing, and so we've been able to go out into the community and try to, through the work of students and with the support of the professors, get information to people that's accurate. Sometimes there's really bad information that's on television or news programs. It's not complete, and then communities can be sort of left in fear. One of the things that you would most be, if you were local or you were in town and you wanted to join us for an afternoon in the clinic and observe what we do, go to court with us, certainly reach out to me. I would be more than happy to host anyone who isn't sure what they wanted to do. And if you're on campus and you're 1L year, you want to do the immigration clinic, you can also stop by and see about different ways to get involved early on, even just translating if you happen to speak another language, or helping us out with some of our special projects. We try to get people interested early on, but not too much your 1L year, because we really want you finishing those initial classes. Students in the clinic don't, sometimes I get the question, do you have to speak another language to do immigration? And you don't. Certainly, that's wonderful if you do, and I think the more languages you speak, the better, and the more people in the world you can communicate with. But it's not a requirement. We have a wonderful collaboration with our pro bono department and students that speak other languages and staff, and I know Ioannis just reminded me that he speaks Farsi, and we could utilize those skills in our citizenship cases very frequently. We have very diverse community in Jacksonville with people from all different parts of the world that speak, languages I've not even heard of, and it's just always really fascinating to find out how many different languages the students who attend Florida Coastal speak. We have a great number of students who speak 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 languages, so that's really wonderful. We are closely affiliated with, I'm a member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. We're very active as a clinic in our local chapter, hosting events, going to networking events with the American Immigration Lawyers Association. And like I said, students went up to Washington, D.C. with me last week and participated in an American Immigration Lawyers Association Advocacy Day event, and got to meet all sorts of attorneys from around the country. So that's been a really nice partnership, a great opportunity for students to meet other attorneys that may hopefully be hiring when they graduate. So that's one wonderful collaboration that we have. There are one really great aspect of immigration law is that you can practice immigration law in any state with a license from any state. So you could get your bar license in any one of the 50 states and practice immigration law in any one of the 50 states. So that is a perk because it is federal administrative law. It doesn't require a state-specific bar license. You just have to be licensed in one state in order to practice immigration law. So that has one perk for the field. And right now I'm just getting a lot of people reaching out to me that are doing a little bit of immigration because of the climate. So there's a lot of people practicing family immigration, criminal and immigration, business and immigration, sort of joining fields. So that's a new aspect to the field that has proved to be really interesting. So if if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And I'm also happy to speak with anybody individual at a different time. If you want to give me a call or shoot me an email, I'm happy to help in any way if you're interested in increasing as a career.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Professor Coran. That was extremely helpful and informative. I have, let me see if we have any questions here. We just have Charlotte saying great information. Thanks. Thanks for being here, Charlotte. And I agree, great information indeed. We don't seem to have any questions at this time, so I'm just going to go ahead. But feel free to type them in if you do have any questions as I'm going through the wrap up of this webinar. This pretty much concludes yet another episode of our webinar highlight series. We hope that you found this information helpful. Once again, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us, and a very special thank you to my awesome guest speaker, Professor Coran. Thank you very much. I know how busy you are. So thanks again for being here. Like Professor Coran said, if you have the opportunity, if you can find the time, definitely stop by, go through our clinic. It's definitely a fascinating process to watch. Every now and then, I have the privilege of hosting some students who come for a tour, and we go through the clinic, and it's inspiring every single time. So definitely, if you have the time, if you have, if you are in the area, definitely stop by. It's something that, if nothing else, I assure you, it will inspire you to follow what you're doing in terms of your law school career with more passion. So, as always, please do not hesitate to contact us with your questions, but also with your suggestions and comments on these webinars and how we can improve them. Please keep an eye out for our upcoming webinars. They usually come out on Wednesdays, and we try to give you enough advance notice so that you can be prepared for it, and you can attend and join us. And that's about it for us. From myself and all my teammates in the Office of Admissions and all the faculty and staff in Florida Coastal School of Law, I wish you a very nice rest of the evening. Thanks for being with us today, and bye for now.